Welcome, you're watching ET Now. I'm Anisha Jain. Well, it's that time of the year where there is festivities all around us, and we here at ET Now have been spreading the smile through our theme, Ye Diwali Muskan Wali. And one of the ways to increase that smile and muskan is, of course, through wealth generation. And who better to help us with that wealth generation mantras than Vishal Malkan? He's, of course, the well-renowned trading coach as well as the co-founder of malkansview.com. He's joining us to talk to us about how we can create wealth in Samvat 2080. Vishal, hi. Thank you so much for making time, and Diwali wishes from the ET Now family to you and your loved ones.
Thank you so much, and I also would like to wish all the viewers a very happy Diwali and a prosperous New Year. Thank you so much for having me.
Well, yes, we're talking about prosperity, and the big question is, Vishal, will we see that prosperity in the coming Samvat or not? Because you were perhaps one of the first ones to highlight that September is going to be a bit of a wobbly time where there could be a reversal of trend, and that's exactly how it panned out. What are your indicators telling you about how market is placed right now and what we should expect over the next, let's say, 6 to 12 months?
Okay, so 6 to 12 months definitely looks good, and we are the only market which is mostly outperforming all other markets except Japan, which is on par with us. And I would like to highlight that the year which is coming up, which is 2024, is going to be very, very interesting because there is a triple combination. What I look at charts, look at Astro Numero, and plus the political scenario. So if you look at 2024, which is also numerically 8, which is a very high volatile number, if you follow numerology, and the second is a leap year, which also is an indication that mostly if you have seen the major movements or the scams or the crashes have happened in the leap year. If you look at 1992, 2000, 2008 and 2020 COVID. So 2024 is going to be a leap year. Plus we have an election. So it's going to be a triple whammy. I know it's going to be high volatile, but the way the charts are placed right now at current situation, it looks like we might have a good volatility on the upside. And once you have the right strategy and the right stock pick, I think you can have a good 2024.
Okay, let's wish about that a good 2024, and let's try and decode how do we get to that good year. You're talking about bringing together a lot of different elements, right, from of course the technicals to numerology to the planetary conditions and of course the big political setup which is lined up for us. But you know, the last few months, Vishal, have been about the underperformance of large caps and the mid cap and small caps outperforming. What I want to understand from you is, going forward, do you think for investors it will be a better bet to perhaps move into large caps because they might be coming out of underperformance? Or do you think the mid caps and small caps have more legs to the rally to go further?
I would always go with the large cap, especially as far as the retail investors are concerned, because these are more safer, less volatile, and you may almost have fundamental plus technical view on that, which can give us a good return. Of course, mid cap has its own advantage of high risk, high volatility, as well as high reward. But specifically for the next 1 year, I would go for large cap, and we'll go sector specific, stock specific.
Okay, we'll go that sector-specific theme, so let's get right into it. I want to specifically discuss banks because, of course, that's one of the largest weight when it comes to the index as well. And since you're talking about large caps, there's a big representation there. Those have been underperforming massively throughout this year. Do you think that time-wise correction that people talk about is nearing an end? Because you also look at that specific time cycles as well, right? Talk to me about how the private banking names are stacking up with respect to that.
As far as private banking is concerned, I think only a couple of stocks which are looking strong on the charts is Indusind Bank and ICICI Bank. Rest all are into like a long-term consolidation phase. So this year, which I think we should focus more on the PSU banks than the large cap banks, which will have greater returns, and specifically Bank of Baroda and Canara Bank.
So Bank of Baroda, Canara Bank, these are your top two bets coming in from the PSU banking space. But let's talk about a few more underperformers before we talk about outperformers. The underperformers have been pharma and IT as well, right? Any sense that these are bottoming out and poised for a reversal, or there are better opportunities available? Don't be with the underdogs.
So I would like to point out two ways of trading which usually traders do. One is called the momentum trading and one is the value buying. Momentum trading is where you go with the outperformers, where the momentum is there and it's going fast. And well as value buying happens when the stocks are at major supports, they are not moving up, but they are consolidating. And I think that's where the IT sector is placed right now. So if you are playing a long-term game like a value buying with a very low risk reward ratio, means very low risk and high reward ratio, we can invest in the IT stocks for the long term, at least for the 2 to 3 years. And if you're looking for momentum play, which is fast, then we have to go with the outperformers.
Okay, but you know what? I want to shift the focus a bit, Vishal, because you, of course, look at various asset classes as well in terms of what's happening to global equities. This has been a year where, gold has also made a bit of a comeback. Crude has been volatile as well. If I had to ask you at the portfolio level, if you had to take a tactical trade for the next 3 to 6 months, where would you put your bets? Will it still, be equities and Indian equities?
Yes, I think equity has outperformed every asset class over the long term, and in the short term also, I think that's going to be the best bet. Now, let me give you my approach. What I do with my own portfolio and with my students is like we do a top-down approach, and top-down approach starts with the global markets, which are now getting stabilized from the bearish zone. They are getting stabilized as per the last couple of weeks movement. Indian market is already outperforming, and the correction which we saw in the last couple of weeks is settling down. That 18,800, 700 has acted as a very strong support. And then we go to I call it the satellite view, then the helicopter view, aerial view, and the microscopic view. So we go with the global market stable, Indian market on the bullish tone, which is the helicopter view, then aerial view, which is the sector view. I think the 2 sectors or the 3 sectors which are outperforming right now are auto, then we have realty, and the third is PSU banks. So these 3 sectors would be my aerial view, and from there I will pick the best stocks for next 3 to 6 months.
Okay, let's go from the aerial view to the drone view or the, bird's eye view in that sense that which are the top Diwali stock ideas if I had to ask you? Give us any pataka stocks, any multi-baggers that you're identifying.
I would go with the stock which we call it trend following, which is like we just follow the trend. They are showing us that it's going up. They are making 52-week high or a multi-year high or an all-time high. So if you go by the realty stocks, the top pick, which has come out of consolidation after 15 years, is DLF, and it is inching towards 600 plus now. And I think that's the one stock which we look at, because after 15 years of consolidation and after that what we call the cup pattern with volume, momentum, everything in favor, plus the sector, then I would go with DLF with the target of at least 750 to 800 in the next 3 to 6 months. And the second would be, of course, Oberoi Realty, and followed by Godrej Properties in this sector. And then second, the sector which we are looking at outperforming is the auto sector. And in the auto sector, we look at Maruti as one top bet, as well as Tata Motors. Both are trading above their all-time highs, above their multi-year highs, and sustaining above that. Even in the correction, they didn't correct much. So that shows that they are outperforming. Volume, momentum, volatility, everything is in the favor. So I would look at least 20 to 30% rise in these 2 stocks in the next 3 to 6 months. So those would be my top Diwali Pataka picks.
Okay, so those are the Diwali Pataka picks coming from Vishal for you. But Vishal, before I let you go, you talked about how next year is going to be that triple whammy, number 8 coming into the picture. But elections usually has been a good time where we see a massive run-up in this, stock indices. And history tells us that every 4 to 5 years when this election cycle plays out, we see that big upswing. If I had to ask you to stick your neck out and perhaps give us a Nifty target till next year, any number guessing that you want to do for us? And what's your sense with respect to the political cycle next year as well?
I think if there's no major upset in the political scenario, and if there's no complete kind of turnaround things and go steady with what we have, the government which is doing good since last few years, and again if the same government comes, then definitely we might look at a new high which could be around 21,500 to 22,000. And if there is a big upset now, because that's an event which we can't predict right now, but if there's an upset, then of course we can have a major correction. But looking at everything as of now, the charts, the patterns, the cycles, the planets, everything, it looks good, and we can definitely see targets of 21,500 in the year 2024.
Okay, on that optimistic note, let's wrap up the conversation. Aapke muh mein ghee shakkar. Hopefully, we see that 21,500, 22,000 levels in the coming Samvat. But Vishal, thank you so much for making time and speaking with ET Now and helping our viewers decode as to what lies in Samvat 2080.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me.